Would you all please be seated? Morning, everyone. I'm going to be honest. The hardest thing about writing a chapel speech is trying to figure out where to start. An inside joke that only a few people will understand. Something like, I remember coming to Appleby in grade 9, or fun, random facts about myself that'll get the entire chapel giggling a bit. I thought and thought and thought, and after a while, I realized I would try to do the speech a little differently. No offense to anyone else who does a chapel speech, but in my opinion, I'd much rather speak more conversationally to you all, rather than in a pre-written sort of way. I hope I haven't confused you already. So here it goes. For the past 2 or 3 years or so, I have purposely tried growing as a person in everything I do. Whether it's varsity soccer here at Appleby, or bussing tables during the summer for some extra cash, I try my best to learn from everything I do and to change myself as a person every single day. I can actually tell that I'm growing and growing and growing. Now you may wonder where the urge to grow came from and how I quite literally do it. Well, there are a couple things. The first inspiration may seem pretty small, but it had a huge effect on my life. As she sits here in the chapel today, I'm actually going to tell you something about my mother, Beth, that she taught me. And yes, I do call her by her first name. This little thing is that she would always tell me to feel things rather than to think them. For any math teachers in the chapel today, don't worry, I still do think during advanced functions in calc. But in most situations in my life, my feelings are the first place I go to. How would I know the strategy of hers works so effectively? Well, that requires another story. Growing up, I saw my dad, who I actually call Dad, make numerous business decisions on behalf of my family, whether it was for Watson Parojcic Financial, buying treats for my dog Ella, or moving to the house we currently live in. To be honest, I wasn't really involved in many of them, but they always seemed to work out the way we all hoped. Then I finally asked him one day, Dad, how do you do it? He simply replied, well, I just do whatever my gut tells me to do. Wow, that's a coincidence. Both my parents listen to their feelings as much as they can, and they've turned out pretty well. That's the first big step, listening to how you feel. The second big step in my personal growth actually has no story behind where I adopted it from. This next big step is trying new things. And on top of that, trying things that may seem too difficult or things that you may be made fun of for, or whatever the case may be. I can remember a time, probably in about grade 7 or 8, when I would act, talk, and dress like all the other kids for 2 reasons. Because I would be made fun of otherwise, and I was simply scared to be different. Sadly enough, I realized that type of lifestyle was a mistake just a couple years ago. So here goes the cliche story about remembering when I came to Appleby. I remember when I came to Appleby, as a grade 9, thinking a few things. My first thought, which is probably the thought of most new students, was wow, what a big place. Simply the fact that the campus was such a big place admittedly made me a little timid. So because I was a new kid, I wanted to fit in with all the kids who had already gone to Appleby prior to grade 9. And honestly, acting, dressing, and talking like the other kids made me feel pretty good. Back then, that was the main reason that I enjoyed coming to school, to fit in. And to build on that, not to stand out. It wasn't until the summer after grade 9 that I seriously considered not returning to Appleby for grade 10. Wow, our senior school prefect didn't like Appleby? It's true. My parents and I looked at transferring me to a local high school in Burlington where I would have gone for the remaining years. That was my first mistake. I had suddenly stopped enjoying the Appleby experience, and my first reaction, which many people turn to, was to give up, to complain, to take the easy way out. After a couple weeks of long thought why I wasn't enjoying the school, I finally came to a conclusion. It wasn't the amount of schoolwork. It wasn't the fact that I got home at 6 every night. It was the fact that I simply wasn't being myself. Up until that point, I realized I was being the person that other people would like better, rather than the person I would like better. Just like Beth says, if other people don't like it, then it's their problem. So from that point on, I decided to take the harder way out of life rather than the easy way. Yeah, I took some criticism from people, but I dressed the way I wanted to, joined the clubs I wanted to, played the sports I wanted to, and so on. And all of a sudden, I felt much better about myself. Ever since that time in my life, I've loved this school more and more every day. Just think about it. Although some things may appear harder to do or harder to try, there's no sense in not doing them simply because they're more difficult. So there's my 2 steps in growing. Listen to how you feel and try to expand your comfort zone. Believe me, it's much easier to say than to do. Even after learning all this stuff in the past couple years, I'm still realizing things about myself every day. Tupac Shakur once wrote, "It's the game of life. Do I win or do I lose? One day they're going to shut the game down. I got to have as much fun and go around the board as many times as I can before it's my turn to leave. I think what he's trying to say is just enjoy life until your time is up, which actually brings me to what I would like to do more of in the future. Have fun. After all my years on this earth, I found that many people go through life just getting things done because they have to be done. For instance, schoolwork. A little shot of advice: once you actually realize that you do your schoolwork in order to learn, you'll be much more inclined to do it. So anyways, try to make it a goal within yourself to have more fun as time goes on. Because once you're on your last go-round of the board and it's your turn to leave, you better look back on your life and be happy with what you did. That kind of idea might scare some people. And to be honest, it scares me a little as well. What if in 30 years I wake up and look back on my life as a teenager and I wish I had or hadn't done certain things? I feel like the best thing we can do is try our hardest to live while you can, because I feel like it's all going to go by so fast. But hey, I'm loving life as it is right now, and hopefully I will for many years to come. Just keep the positive energy flowing. As Andy Dufresne from one of my favorite movies of all time, The Shawshank Redemption, says, "Get busy living or get busy dying." Now would you all please rise and loudly sing hymn 430.